want to buy Fox so they can own everything. Finally, the Spider-Man can fight the Wolverine. We played a video game about monster trucks and we almost broke the truck. And then, we found the world's ugliest Dragon Ball shoes and we bought them. All that and more. This is Up at Noon. Initiate self-destruct sequence.
What the hell was that?
Okay, so every week, one of us does the cold open, which is basically just like you do the video for the intro thing, and it's just like, today on Up at Noon, we're talking about Star Wars, Legos, Reeboks, and guns that you can eat. All that and more this week on Up at Noon. This week, we were tired. Neither of us wanted to do it. I said, let's get a text-to-speech robot to do the job for us, because automation, taking over everything. And it worked, I think.
I think it was pretty good.
I don't think we'll ever do it again, but there it is.
I think we should get a different voice to next time. There's always that text-to-speech voice like, hello everyone, it's me, the robot voice. I don't know, I can't really do it. It's not. It's like a robot voice.
So we were going through them yesterday. Here's what's bad about those things. They've gotten too good, and they have the man's names now.
No, we need
like,
the bad ones.
There's like one called Gary, and he's like, I am Gary, and
right.
I'm here to tell you that I am a robot.
So hold on. Hey, everybody, welcome to Up at Noon.
Hi.
We're here yet another week. My name is Max Scoville. This is Brian Altano.
What's up, baby?
Up at Noon is sort of IGN's catch-all nonsense comedy, variety food, junk food nonsense show. That it's kind of like if you've ever been like at a public pool that has one of those places you open up the trap where all the frogs go to die in the night. It's like that, but for stuff on IGN. So we find
There's
like
hair and turds and toys, and you're gonna love it.
Yeah, so all kinds of stuff. First things first, you can watch this on all sorts of different platforms. We are on the IGN PS4, Xbox One, Roku, Apple TV. Really all the apps and stuff. We're on Twitch, we're on YouTube, we're on probably Facebook, and also IGN.com proper now has a chat feature, so if you'd like to hang out in the comments over there, now you can hang out in the comments in real time, and they're still kind of ironing out the problems over there, but it's a thing now. So we have our YouTube chat and our Twitch chat open. Tone Deaf said, very Kermit of you, Max. I was trying to... Kermit the Frog here. That's my Kermit voice.
You're kind of a Kermity dude.
Well, thank you. I have long legs, and I'm a big, weird man who lives in the pond.
Which Muppet do you think I would be?
I don't know. You're like an evil Fozzie, sort of.
Yeah.
I kind of see that. We're both sort of like this Statler and Waldorf, where we like sit at our desk.
I like that a lot.
Anyway, we got a great show today. We played a bunch of really weird video games, which we're going to be throwing to. Obviously, that's not live because we show up at a different room. But the good news is, for us, there's a Thanksgiving potluck in the IGN kitchen, so you're watching us play Farming Simulator pre-recorded. We're going to be chowing down on some grub.
That's right. We've timed it out. We have just a few minutes to sneak out of this room. Every single year, IGN has a big Thanksgiving turkeys feast in the break room. And when does it happen? Thursdays at noon, Pacific time. Lunch, yeah.
These guys are mad, too.
Down for them. The whole control room. Look at those hungry boys.
I like this. We're going to cut back to them at some point in the show, and they're all going to have plates of food, and they're going to have bibs on, and big cartoon utensils, and they're going to get the food all over the equipment.
Every single year, same time. We miss it. I'm in here. I don't get to eat the meat. And so this year, we're playing a game about the truck, and it's great. You're going to have a great time. And then we're going to sneak out. And we're going to get some Thanksgiving turkey treats.
But first, we've got lots of cool stuff to talk about.
Biggest news.
This always happens. Occasionally, we'll have like a slow news week, and it's sort of just like stupid, and we're like, this is boring. And then we wake up Thursday morning, and there's just this avalanche of cool stuff we want to talk about. Right off the bat, first things first, I'm very excited. We got some news on the Metal Gear movie. This has been sort of in talks for a while. Jordan Vogt Roberts, who directed Kong Skull Island, has been sort of like loosely attached as the director. Apparently, moving forward, he is officially the director. They didn't really make a big deal about that. However, Derek Connolly has been attached to write. Now, Derek Connolly, he wrote Kong Skull Island, I think, along with Jordan Vogt Roberts, as well as Jurassic World and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which is the upcoming one. And he also worked on... Safety Not Guaranteed with Colin Trevorrow, who's directing the Jurassic World.
Which is what got him noticed by Spielberg to begin with at a film festival.
And I mean,
really cool.
Obviously working with like really huge kind of like massive properties like that, it's kind of hard to gauge like what he is as a writer, but in terms of adapting Metal Gear, I know that Jordan Vogt Roberts, I actually interviewed him at Comic-Con. I have like a ton of faith in this dude. He's been talking about how he didn't name the writer at this point, but he's like, I've got the writer and I've been making him play the games. And every time we'll get to a part in the script, like, we need to go back and play the games. And he's making them play them out of order and stuff. And just, I think he's honestly like a really genuine Metal Gear fan. So I'm excited to see what this is, what this comes out to be. I don't know if you guys caught this. Most recently, the thing he did was the live-action Destiny trailer.
Which is awesome looking.
I'm like, I don't really care much about Destiny, but like, this dude knows how to just make stuff look exciting and cool. This was the one about like the Save the Puppies and stuff. Just great visual style. Kong Skull Island again is it's a weird movie. It's like way weirder than it has any right to be. It could have been just a totally kind of out of the box monster movie, but he had a lot of fun with it. I swear there's like cool video game stuff in here after all the explosions. They show some cool gunfights and lasers and stuff. But yeah, like it's kind of funny that he's joining up with Derek Connolly, who's kind of writing track record, sort of has a theme of people going to islands where there are monsters there. You know, like you've got Kong Skull Island and then both Jurassic Worlds, and Metal Gear kind of has that to a certain degree.
Sure.
Like sneaking into a military base and there being this like big giant robot that screams at you hidden in the belly of it that's Metal Gear Solid for you, or sneaking into Outer Heaven or whatever.
I think you did a piece on this show, right, comparing some of the cinematography in that film to some of the shots stylistically, compositionally in Metal Gear specifically. Like, I mean, there's a scene where what's his name is running through, and it's very Psycho Mantis. And there's a green cloudy smoke everywhere. He's got the mask on.
Yeah, I mean, I asked him about that, and he's like, "Yeah, that was my Psycho Mantis moment." I'm like, "Wow, you just straight up name dropped it. You're not even shy about that."
Well, Jordan Vogt Roberts also said that, like, if given the chance to do a Star Wars movie versus a Metal Gear movie, he would do a Metal Gear movie over a Star Wars movie, which almost no one would say. Like, you need someone crazy enough to say that to actually say, okay, well, this is the guy to do it. So that's great news.
Yeah.
I find it interesting that he's making his writer play those games out of order because they're already obtuse and confusing to begin with.
Sir Chuck in our Twitch chat says, question, which generation of Metal Gear is the movie going to be in? I hope that it's just a remake of Metal Gear 1. Like, I hope that they just do, or they adapt it from that, because honestly, because of how games are so sort of iterative, there's a lot of themes that kind of revisited, and like the bosses are kind of similar, and you see patterns start to emerge when you kind of look at them sort of all stacked up. But the kind of the main theme is like, here's this guy kind of sneaking into, I mean, basically just go watch The Rock, but then imagine instead of Ed Harris, it's a big robot, which sounds like a good movie.
Yes,
I see that movie. I go see that.
Now, thoughts and concerns. Obviously, it's a video game movie, which means that a million things can go wrong. A lot of people are going to put their hands in the pot. It's Sony Pictures. They've been in charge of the Uncharted movie debacle for the last decade. That has been everyone from I don't know, like Seth Rogen to Burt Bacharach to Dennis Leary. That gets shifted every 4 minutes. Somebody else is taking charge of that movie. Now, the last we heard about that, Neil Druckmann didn't know anything about it being made, but the writers of the movie said they got their blessing, which was obviously a lie.
Yeah.
But, devil's advocate stuff, I think this can turn out well. I think this can happen.
Meanwhile, there are tons of photos of Jordan Vogt Roberts just hanging out with Kojima. Like, those guys are pretty tight. So it makes me think that maybe, like, officially Kojima won't have a lot to do with it, but he will kind of be like, winking a nod behind the scenes. So I'm excited about that. That's good stuff. In other big weird announcements this morning, Niantic Labs, they're called, the guys who did Pokemon Go, they announced their next big thing, which is called Harry Potter Wizards Unite. And they gave us this logo, and that's it. They gave us the logo, and it shows that it has the Harry Potter logo at the top, and then it says Wizards Unite. And basically, it's going to be Pokemon Go with Harry Potter. It's going to be like, hey, go out in your neighborhood and walk around with your phone out, and instead of, instead of catching little Japanese pocket monsters,
catch children?
You're going to be like fighting, I don't know, you don't catch the children.
Why? There's children in that movies, right?
Yeah, that's true. There are children in the Harry Potter movies.
So one would assume that you would go out and you would collect the souls of the child.
It'd be really weird if they just totally like cloned Pokemon Go, but instead of Pokemon, it was just like Harry Potter characters. And they're like, Neville Longbottom, I need a Master Ball. And you're like, there's no Master Balls in Harry Potter.
I think this sounds like a great way to get all the people I don't like to go to one place.
It's also, there's going to be like mobs in the street of people who don't have common interests to you. They're like, oh, they're people on their phones playing an AR game, but they also like Harry Potter.
I know.
I feel like tangentially, you're like, you have sort of this truce with Pokemon where you're like, all right, you're on Nintendo stuff, so you're cool with me.
I'm cool with Pokemon. There's a lot of crossover that Pokemon does and the things I enjoy. Pokemon is sort of an evolution of the top-down Zelda franchise. Pokemon shows up in Smash Brothers. That happens. Pokemon pops up on my Switch, 3DS, all those types of things, right? I enjoy the Pokemon. Harry Potter, on the other hand, I have no idea what that boy and his friends have been up to for the last 25 years. I don't even know if it's been that long. I know they have a microwave. That's insane.
This is the one thing. I showed him a clip from like a parody of a Harry Potter thing, and he didn't know that it was set in present day. He didn't understand. They were at the Weasleys part. And he was like, wait. And I was like, no, this is interesting. And he was like, why did they have a microwave? I thought they were in olden days. And
I watched the first movie with you, and I know that most of the movie was them trying to open up a door underneath this dog's leg.
Yeah, that's true.
Dumb.
Anyway,
they'll put the dog in that game?
Harry Potter Wizards Unite. I guarantee you they're going to put that dog in the game. It's going to be
Really?
like a gym leader or something.
What's his name?
They're gonna
Like
call it
Cerberus or
Fang,
something?
I think. Yeah, he's a 3-headed dog.
Fang.
There's going to be all kinds of ferocious beasts and where to find them. You can all scamper around to be like a regular Newt Scamander on your Android device or whatever. Anyway.
Love that guy. Big fan of Newt Scamander.
Big piece of news this week was Brian Michael Bendis is leaving Marvel for DC. If you don't know Bendis, he is one of the kind of the biggest names in comics, and he's worked. He's done some stuff on the side, but he's worked primarily with Marvel. He helped kind of architect the Ultimate Timeline, which led to Miles Morales. I think that he and Mark Bagley had the record for the longest stretch of a writer-artist duo working on a comic since Stan Lee and Steve Ditko with Spider-Man.
Okay.
And they broke. I don't know if they broke that or not. They were shooting for it in the Ultimate Spider-Man. They wrote something like 134 issues straight together. He also worked on House of M and Secret Invasion and stuff like that. He spent like 14 years writing Avengers comics. Here's a photo of him being like, "Hey, it's me." Oh, that's weird. That's very odd.
I don't like Marvel anymore. Now it's time for DC. Cyborg, I'm coming for you. I'm gonna write the greatest cyborg story ever made. The man's got robot parts and man parts at the same time. He's a cyborg.
Well done. Well done. Anyway, he's going over to DC. It sounds like it was kind of an amicable parting. He's not.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I'm gonna go do this, and it's interesting because both Marvel and DC have kind of been. I think DC's been selling better. I think Marvel's had like more titles out. It sounds like they're both kind of trying to figure out what the hell to do because people do care about superheroes, as you know, the box office from movies tells you. But in terms of what comics are doing, it's sort of just like a mess right now. I think they turned everybody into Venom.
I always find it so fascinating.
Jubilee is a vampire and a single mother.
We grew up in an era that had amazing comic books, and they were everywhere. And we had terrible comic book movies. And now there are amazing comic book movies, and comic books themselves are sort of relegated to the sidelines. Obviously, they still sell well, and there's still comic book shops everywhere, which is really cool. But in terms of like walking into a grocery store and just seeing a stack of comics, like I saw that all the time in the 80s and 90s, and that's gone these days. So the merchandise is doing well, the movies are doing phenomenal, but they haven't really been able to connect those dots. So I find that interesting.
Yeah, it'll be curious to see what he does in any case. And I don't know, I like some of his stuff, some of his other stuff. I'm like, no, thank you. But you know, he gets to play around and do something new.
Yeah.
Now, in other news about changes, here's something that's pretty unprecedented. Ridley Scott's next movie is unfortunately nothing with xenomorphs, so I'm not as excited about it. My voice just cracked. It's about John Paul Getty's grandson being kidnapped and held for ransom. It's called All the Money in the World. It's got Mark Wahlberg and Michelle Williams. It's like a very kind of serious sort of historical type of thing. It did have Kevin Spacey in it, but if you've been reading the news, Kevin Spacey's under a lot of fire for sexual harassment and just being a Hollywood creepazoid or whatever. Ridley Scott did something kind of insane. He replaced him in the film. He is swapping him out with Christopher Plummer, who's an established actor. Weird part, this movie is out in 43 days from now. It comes out December 22nd.
This is completely insane. I watched the trailer last night, which I guess I had seen before, but it didn't really register. And then I watched it again last night with the context, which, bear in mind, this news broke. That trailer is still available to watch that has Kevin Spacey in it. The version of the movie that you'll see won't have Kevin Spacey in it. So if you live in a weird bubble where you get movie trailers and you didn't read the Kevin Spacey news recently and you saw that trailer and bought tickets, you're going to show up to see a movie that doesn't have that person in it. Now the weird thing about this is that he is, first of all, in tons of makeup and prosthetics. He looks just like, I don't know.
Yeah, he's actually on
the
the poster
Tom
here.
Cruise in Tropic Thunder.
Yeah, they put him in a bunch of aging. We don't have a photo of him to go with that, but I think we might have the trailer. But yeah,
he effectively plays what is sort of like a villain-like character in this movie. Probably the biggest secondary character in the film, if you can say that. And I don't really know how this is going to work. So it's not just like this was shot in a house. This movie was shot all over the world. So you see shots of Kevin Spacey in character walking along the street. You see him in like a desert sequence. You see him all over the place. So this is going to be a little different than just sort of like comping in a new actor.
Well, now here's a counterpoint here. How much of Kevin Spacey's involvement was like, is this like an Anthony Hopkins Silence of the Lambs scenario where he's like a huge part of the movie, but he's only in it for like a few chunks, and the rest of it is Mark Wahlberg and Michelle Williams running around?
It's tough to say.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
It's
obviously,
really tough to say.
Kevin Spacey's is a huge name for a variety of reasons. Up until the last couple weeks, it was because he was a big actor that everyone wanted to go see. So of course they'd put him kind of front and center. Also, this is the time of movies when Oscars or Oscar bait comes out, when movies that directors and studios want to try to shoot for Oscars, they release them around Christmas or early part of the year. So I don't know. Also, really weird part. Apparently Ridley Scott wanted Christopher Plummer originally.
Yeah.
And the studios were like, no, you got to get Kevin Spacey. And he's like, okay, fine.
But yeah, back to the Oscar thing. You're onto something there. You effectively have a deadline to make a movie and have it eligible for an Oscar per calendar year. This one is going to have to kind of rush out there to make that happen now that all these changes are going on. And I think you might be onto something with what you said in terms of how minimal his character appearance is in this film. I would say it is for them to even say this completely insane, unprecedented thing of we're going to cut him out of the movie or comp him out of the movie, whatever they're going to do, find and Control F. But this is going to be a very, I actually want to see this movie more than ever now.
Yeah.
For the sheer, I'm not even interested in the story really. Ridley Scott makes cool stuff. But for the sheer, sort of curiosity of how are they going to, look, there he is.
Yeah.
How are they going to pull it off?
Well, also,
right?
we weren't talking about this movie until this happened.
Yeah.
Obviously we don't cover a lot of serious adult movies because they don't have action figures to go with them. But this is, this wasn't something that was really on my radar, and now it's fascinating.
I think the Kevin Spacey thing, we haven't really talked about it in the show because ultimately, I don't really want to talk about this guy. He's gross, and if the stories are coming out are true, which it sounds like they are because there's dozens of them, then yeah, I don't want to have a platform where we cover this piece of garbage. But that said, the ramifications and spill out that something like this happens in Hollywood, where you look at a movie like this, you look at House of Cards, which was just beginning to start its newest and final season. Netflix had announced already that the final season was happening, and now they'll basically put all the pressure onto Robin Wright Penn to carry that show to the finish line. It's all completely unprecedented. It's all really weird, and I think this is just the beginning of all of this sort of spill out that we're going to see with these kinds of scenarios.
We've seen stuff like this happen before. Usually it's when an actor dies.
Yeah.
This happened with
Ledger.
Heath Ledger is a good example. They were making the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, and they basically, Terry Gilliam is a weird enough director that he's like, let's replace him with eight of his friends. They all kind of joined in.
With Brandon Lee as well in The Crow.
Yeah.
And then reshot his scenes with his brother after he was fatally shot on set by an accidental
and
gun
more
shot.
recently, the night of James Gandolfini was in half of the episodes, and then they had to go in and replace him with I always forget his name. John Turturro.
Yeah. James Gandolfini actually shepherded that show for a very long time in the background at HBO, and then passed away, and they kept going with him.
Which is nuts. But
and you also look at something like AI, which is a movie that Steven Spielberg finished after Kubrick passed away,
right?
And that turned into what it turned into, which is this weird, just tentacle monster.
Well, I think the one thing that allows for this now is digital.
Yeah.
They're not having to develop film. It's not a physical quantity, and I wouldn't surprise me that much if there are shots in All the Money in the World where you're looking at the back of Kevin Spacey as he's talking to Mark Wahlberg, but it's Christopher Plummer doing VO or something.
Yeah.
I would not surprise me one bit if they did stuff like that, or kind of the Grand Moff Tarkin thing you saw in Rogue One, but obviously with a living person.
And so the weird thing, I was saying this to you the other day, I'm really fascinated in these two stories. One, how the House of Cards scenario is handled after Kevin Spacey's departure, because they're not even going to have him, I assume, come in and shoot scenes where they shoot him in the back of the head or something. I imagine they're going to kill off that character, and I don't know how they're going to do it. And two, how Episode 9 is going to handle the death of Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, because for all we know, she survives to the end of 8, according to John Boyega in interviews, which means that both of these things are very weird situations, and we have to watch them unfold over the next few years, because these businesses will keep trucking on despite the life and death of the stars within them. So keep it locked, because it's about to get crazy.
Yeah. Now, in other crazy development news, there's a piece of news floating around this week that I'm very bittersweet about. Apparently, Disney is in talks with Fox about buying 21st Century Fox, which is basically, Fox is a massive company. They do sports and news, and they have printed publications. It's actually a subsidiary of News Corp, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch. Massive, huge corporation.
Used to own IGN.
Yeah, weird enough.
Back when we had this logo.
That's the one. But basically, Disney's looking at kind of reaching in, allegedly, this is all sort of hearsay and talking, and nothing's final, nothing's official, but they're talking about scooping up the entertainment wing, which sounds like that Fox and News Corp just want to get out of entertainment entirely. So this would mean Fox TV stuff as well as movies. And obviously, the thing we want to talk about here, Marvel, because the Marvel universe is sort of scattered. We've got the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and then there's the Fox movies who do X-Men. And they also have Fantastic Four, though I don't think they're really too excited about that right now. And this is this is problematic because if Disney does in fact scoop up Fox, that means that they are bordering on having a monopoly of entertainment. You know?
Bordering? Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
they straight up do. And it's weird because you and I on this show for 100 times now have said like, hey, like get the lawyers together. Like the ultimate villain in Marvel is lawyers, right? We've always said that. And we've always said get the lawyers together, get the teams together, get Gambit and Wolverine and Spider-Man and Thanos in the same movie and just make it all happen, make it all work. And now there's a chance of that happening and it feels disgusting because it's at the expense of sort of any sort of creative freedom. And we're watching what's happening with Disney right now.
And they're doing some
getting a
weird
little big
stuff
for
with
their
like
britches.
you see them kind of basically kind of leaning on movie theaters about how they project The Last Jedi. They know it's kind of a guaranteed moneymaker, but they're like, hey, we need like a higher cut of your tickets. And then there's other stuff where they're threatening to blacklist newspapers for negative coverage, and it's just sort of like, don't do that, please. Just don't. Like, I mean, I think Disney sort of has become less of like an evil organization in more recent years. There was a stretch there where they were kind of like, I don't know, you'd see like, I don't know, Newsweek cartoons where they have the mouse ears on stuff and like, oh no, it's an evil corporation. And then they've kind of like had this sort of nice guy face to them more recently. And I will say that like, I had the worst feelings going into like the news that they picked up Marvel and they were going to be making all the Marvel movies, and then lo and behold, they're like the best ones.
Yeah, they're making some great films.
A lot of people are like, oh, the Fox X-Men stuff is good. No, man, just get it in the MCU, please. Like,
I mean, I remember a couple of years ago working at IGN when we read the story about the Spider-Man thing, and us kind of shaking our heads, being like, "Well, how is this going to work?" Turned out it worked really well. So I think that's really fascinating, especially like the stuff around Star Wars specifically. Because pausing on the Fox stuff for a second, the fact that Disney is making it difficult and blacklisting news outlets from reviewing their movies early, and they are, even if this doesn't affect you, maybe you don't care about review outlets, maybe you just go in blind, and this doesn't necessarily affect your wallet, but they are, like Max said, going after ticket prices and getting a higher premium back from the theaters, which is putting theaters in a difficult situation. And Star Wars is a movie about a dwindling pocket of good against an empire of evil, and Disney is becoming the Sith in the story, and that's not great.
well, it would actually it'd be like the Empire.
I guess at this point it'd be the Empire. So that's the weird thing about all this, is that like selfishly, as a nerd, you can stop and go, hey, great news. Like Venom and Spider-Man can be in the same movie now.
That's a different. No, that's Sony. You're thinking of that's Sony.
yeah.
That's another story entirely.
You know what I mean?
But
or Wolverine and Guardians of the Galaxy can team up together against Galactus. Awesome. Cool. What does that mean for humanity?
yeah.
Worse things. So you have to make these sacrifices, right? And it's sort of just like, hey, they have Star Wars now. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go see it. Yeah, well, they're taking all the money from the movie theater.
You get really in the weeds
But
there when you realize that
Who's the Last Jedi?
the original trilogy was distributed by 20th Century Fox. That's why it has the ba-da-bum-bum thing in the beginning. Weirder still, the soundtrack was released by Warner Brothers back in the 70s. So there's like this kind of weird like daisy chain of like nonsense of like who owns the rights to this, and it's like Disney owns Lucasfilm, but Lucasfilm used to do the deals with 20th Century Fox, but the music component of that was Warner Brothers, so it's just like, who's on first? You know, who gets this stuff? I mean, this stuff is honestly like it's gross to talk about because it's business and it's politics and it's all this kind of big grown-up stuff that's not fun, and it's not the reason that we like Star Wars or Marvel movies in the first place. But I don't know. I want to see the X-Men get the proper treatment.
Hey, Max.
Yeah.
Can you pull up IGN's Twitter real quick? We have some breaking news.
Uh-oh.
There is the first poster for Deadpool 2, and I think you're going to love it.
Uh-oh. Let me pull it up.
So Deadpool 2, obviously part of this entire scenario, while we're segueing, owned by Fox, that came under the sort of like X-Men branch that they've been
Oh
working on over
man. Oh man.
Can we take a look at this?
Jump over to this.
Here we go.
Oh yeah.
So this is great.
So I gripe about the what Fox does with the X-Men stuff. Deadpool is the exception, and Logan to a lesser extent, though I think Logan only got away with what it did because it was Hugh Jackman and Patrick Stewart at the front of that, being like, we want to make something really good.
So this is a very horrifying poster. It's awful and great at the same time. Let's do a quick rewind theater on it.
Okay.
We've got Cable in the background, obviously. Stan Lee in the frame, picture on the wall, looking over everything, which is really great. Colossus up front, and Deadpool's blind roommate looking
Blind Al, yeah.
off
We
to
got
the side.
Weasel over here, and you've got Negasonic Teenage Warhead over here.
Now, Turkey seems to be the star of the show. I don't see
Shadowcat.
anything gross about it, which I'm
What's
sort of
the
surprised
cab
about.
driver's name? I guess he's in this too. That doesn't make any sense.
The
but
cab
it's
driver's
cool.
back. That's
Yeah.
great.
And then there's Domino here. That's Zazie Beetz.
Yep,
And then,
yep.
yeah, it doesn't look like there's any like crazy Easter eggs on the table because it's
No.
Thanksgiving. Get it?
No, there are a lot of leaves, though.
What is that, like celery?
It's celery, a whole stick of butter. I'm going to be honest, whoever thought about this feast didn't think about this feast.
Yeah.
We have cranberries and candles together at last, some empty pots, and then there's a lot of leaves and butter.
I'm so happy about this. This is
Yeah.
gonna be fun. It might be like a weird mess, but I don't care. I'd watch like yeah.
Are we hinting at a release date here, or is this just like a seasonal gift?
I feel like we have a release date.
Yeah?
You want to pull that up? I don't know what's in my history.
Sure.
don't
I was
wanna
going to
show
say,
that off
because,
to the internet.
that makes it look like Deadpool 2 is coming out Thanksgiving next year.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, they came out Valentine's Day the first time around. If they made
June 1st, 2018.
there you go.
So
Okay, so they're shooting for a summer tentpole.
one of the least Thanksgiving months of
Yeah.
the year, probably.
Well, it is Thanksgiving coming up soon. That probably means we're getting a trailer around Thanksgiving, I would guess. Anyway, let's talk about toys. We haven't talked about toys for a minute. Let's talk about toys. We've been too serious about the business. The fine folks at Walmart sent us over an exclusive Funko. This is a Movie Moments. They're doing this new kind of diorama thing. And Walmart has a whole sort of exclusive lineup of different little Star Wars moments. If you want to check it out, this sells for, I believe, there we go.
$7,000, I think this is for?
This is $7,000.
this
No, I'm
is
kidding.
all real
This is
gold.
like 24. I think it's one of those weird Walmart prices.
This
like
is sand from
24.18.
Bethlehem.
And it's this is it. It's 3PO and R2 in the escape pod, and they do their heads move. They're like,
Great movie moment. Favorite moment in Star Wars.
And we can take a look at the other ones I got here. You got the trash compactor. There's Obi-Wan and Vader, and then of course there's Han putting his feet on the furniture.
I actually
like a
really
jerk.
like the Who Shot First scene right there.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about the Funko style, but that is really cool right there.
Yeah, I just like diorama stuff. It'd be really cool if these were like also like I don't know, yay big.
I wish their little vessel you could put stuff in it. Look at that. It's just hard on the front. Like my heart.
This would look good in a fish tank. I feel like you could put that in the bottom. I don't know how good it is for the toys themselves, but the fish could go around.
I don't know how good it is for the fish.
Yeah, I don't know. Fish are pretty messed up to begin with. But anyway, thank you to Walmart for sending those over. On the subject of Funko,
Yep.
here's a thing. They had now bear with us. We're stupid, bad businessmen who are not good at adult concepts.
No idea what we're doing.
So the stock market is a scary thing that we very just tangentially, tertiarily understand.
We can't even say tertiarily.
Tertiarily, can you say tertiarily?
Is that even a word?
Anyway,
Who would know?
Funko had their initial public offering, or IPO, which is basically when a company that's been sort of like privately a thing, they're like, hey, you can now buy stock in this. Does that sound about right?
Yes, I think so.
So they put it up, and the thing that usually goes is when it's out in the public, I think it's open. Like I guess like investors get to see sort of what a little bit behind the scenes, and they get an idea of what's going on at the company. And they had the biggest drop in like stock value, or the worst, basically the worst day of a first day of an IPO in 17 years.
So here's Cartoon Brew wrote a story on it. They're a really cool site, by the way. You should check them out. The worst first day return for Wall Street IPO in 17 years, with shares dropping 41% from their original price of $12 to as close to $7. Part of the reason for Funko's dismal debut may have been lingering questions about its accounting practices, which a Bloomberg columnist called the latest example of funhouse accounting on Wall Street.
I don't know what that means.
They have $320 million in debt as of June 30th. Multiple private equity firms have violated, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Long story short is toys, like all fads, tend to be bubbly, and bubbles tend to burst.
Yeah, the bobble is gonna bobble and burst.
That's about as Sesame Street as we can break it down for you.
This does kind of beg the question though, like what's going on with the future of Funko collecting? Because obviously, if you go to any convention, there are literal walls of Funko Pops, and you go to any store, and they've kind of taken over, and they take up a lot of shelf space, and they're not cheap for what they are. They're not. I don't think they're crappy quality by any means. I'm a little bit tired of the big eyes, but like they make these things, they turn them out. One of the things that they pride themselves on is the fast turnaround, if you were paying attention, they announced a Pickle Rick Funko Pop, I think like a week and a half after that episode aired.
So here's a quote on that, actually. Our flexible and low fixed cost production model enables us to go from product design of a figure to the store shelf between 110 and 200 days, and we can have it on the shelf in as few as 70 days. So it's sort of like the way South Park handled things, like where we caught Saddam Hussein with a beard on Sunday, and on Wednesday, the bearded Saddam Hussein was in South Park. That turnaround time is very different than something like, I don't know, almost any other toy company, or also, going back to cartoons, Family Guy. So for them to say like, hey, we have this character, he's on a store shelf in 70 days, some things have to sort of happen there. And I think a lot of that is that it's just kind of cheap, kind of quick, kind of mass market, kind of mass produced.
Joseph Toe in our Twitch chat says basically they hemorrhage money because of all the licenses they constantly have to buy and renew. It kind of sounds like it. Again, I don't know what their business is. If you're curious, look up what their offices are like. They're up in outside Seattle. They have insane, amazing offices that are so cool. But it's also kind of like, oh, you guys went a little bit crazy there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, I think like part of this is because, like we're saying here, like we just read, they are paying for licenses all the time. And if you look at something like Netflix, they're leaning into original programming more and more and more, rather than paying people like Disney and Warner Brothers to license their movies and TV shows forever. We've seen original Funko lines before. Some of them are interesting, some of them not so much.
They have like a line of monsters, I think.
Yeah, but they don't ever resonate as much as like Game of Thrones does. And Funko is adored by many because you can walk into a store and see a character that you love and grab them on the shelf for $10 in a Walgreens or whatever you want. But I do think there is a fad Beanie Baby style like presence to all of that. And I think that if you walk into any convention, you can see the oversaturation of those things.
It's ironic because if you look, I was Googling like if Beanie Babies ever had like an IPO or anything, and they didn't. That's a privately owned company still. Apparently they are the world's largest like plush manufacturer, so I think they kind of managed to ride that wave. I think most of the sort of insanity of Beanie Babies was more on the collector end.
Yeah.
But it's funny because if you Google that, a lot of kind of like stock market blogs and commentators will use Beanie Babies as sort of like a household term example of like buying into something because it is hot. They'll be like, these might just be Beanie Baby stocks. I'm like, okay, interesting.
So we'll see what happens, if their future is going to go well, or if your dreams will be crushed. Speaking of dreams being crushed, we played Monster Jam Crush It on Nintendo
Crushers!
Switch. Oh man!
We love these trucks, let's check it out.
This is a great Let's Play, please watch.
What's up, Monster Truckers? It's Brian Altano and Max Scoville, the #1 monster truck fans at IGN. And today we're playing.
True.
Maybe. We've gone to multiple monster.
We've gone to Monster Jam twice together. We love the trucks.
Yeah, trucks are great. Today.
So good. Sometimes their wheels fall off. It's so good.
They drive on the wall. Why would you do that? It's a car. Today we're playing Monster Jam Crush It, because we really hate the stuff under the truck. And we're going to use a truck to really put it crushed down more on the floor and hurt it.
You know what? They got all those old cars they put down underneath the trucks, and the trucks have to drive over them. Do you know where those cars come from?
I don't know.
I think it's when they send them to 1-800 Cars for Kids.
Hell yeah.
But the kids are like, we're not old enough to drive, and they're like, well, there's only one other thing we can do, and that's crush the cars.
1-800 Cars for Jam. So we're going to play Monster Jam Crush It on Nintendo Switch. It just launched last week. It's $39.99, which is a bit pricey.
It's slightly more than its Metacritic rating, which is at like a 36.
But you can bring it anywhere, just like a real truck. What do you want to try, crash mode? Let's crash the truck.
Crash mode? Why is that even a question?
All right. Lucas the Crusader.
Yes,
Grave
obviously
Digger.
Grave Digger.
And everything else is locked.
No, yeah. Grave Digger.
These are like-
Grave Digger. Grave Digger.
Look at this Canadian nightmare.
I think
Max the Dead.
that guy's all right. He's like a Judas Priest truck.
Metal Militia.
Go back to Grave Digger. He's the best.
Yeah, police.
I don't like. What the hell is that?
It's the yeah.
It's like Flight of the Navigator. if it was
Monster Mud.
big. That's
Monster Look at all these dog
How
cars.
many monster mutts do you need?
Wow.
That one's all right.
Yeah, that one's great. It breathes fire out of its snouts.
We saw that one. Is Grave Digger locked?
Why is it locked now?
Which of the trucks?
Look at
can
that
you
with the
drive?
funny arms.
I don't like the funny arms.
There's so many damn trucks in this
The
game.
trucks are great.
How do I
Literally,
get?
Can you drive any
Can
of
you
these?
pick any of the? How do you pick the truck? Okay,
I guess
Lucas the
you have to be
Crusader.
Lucas Yeah. Oh, that sucks right off the bat. I'm gonna be Lucas the Crusader. All right. It works. Oh, it's a soil truck.
Hell yeah!
Lucas the Crusader is brought to you by
Oh,
Soil.
big time swirlies!
Does your mother like doing herb gardening in her backyard? Well, good news, because we've got the soil that she's gonna love.
The dumpster diver!
It's a crusade of vitamins and minerals for your plants. Grow tomatoes with our enriched soil. You'll crush the competition.
That's
What?
it, really? All right.
What?
My turn, I guess.
I drove on the pole and that... What?
You hit some dumpsters.
How did that happen?
Can I be grave? I can drop the shark truck. Oh, did I unlock?
Yeah, we unlocked...
Yeah! That's great. So
I'm the grave digger, and I'm digging up the grave to defile the ones you love.
Alright.
As the truck.
So you know how to actually drive the trucks?
You gotta just do A and this and move the sticks.
That's it?
Yeah, it's...
Okay, we played a previous one that was much too realistic.
Fire!
For times. Yes!
Cacti, the #1 enemy of the grave days.
The corner!
Yeah.
Oh.
What?
Oh, man.
What was that?
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Gravedigger hates
Going up
cacti.
the jump! It's the grave! Going slowly up the wall! What? Car wash?
All right. Then on to the next one, I guess.
Hell yeah.
You want to go to the car wash? With
No,
like
keep
dirty
going.
old trucks? All right. I don't want to be Lucas the Crusader. I want to be the shark.
Yeah, let's be the shark.
Megalodon, the greatest
Megalodon!
structure. It's an ancient.
That really is actually upsetting. It looks like they built it.
Yeah,
looks
let's
like
put
they
it
put
inside the...
actual
Yeah, it's
shark.
not good. Are these different levels? You can keep picking the same one.
It's hard to tell.
Yeah, the haze of the engine smoke from the very exciting.
What?
That's actually not too far off from how the trucks sometimes work at the Monster Jam. Their
What?
wheels fall off.
That was the whole thing?
What did I do?
Yeah, truckers. Yeah, he's a fish out of water and he's gone buck wild.
Floating
He
cars!
hates these old cars. These could have been donated to charity, but instead they're on fire in the desert.
Go in that house.
What is this, the beach boardwalk? Oh. All
What?
right. I wanna
Just
try to
giving
hit
out
that
free
jump.
stuff.
Just hit that jump.
Right,
Oh,
stop
did
going-
did I spawn as Lucas the Crusader?
Oh, man.
I hate Lucas.
We've got to build up speed so we can hit the jump. The jump of all
Hell
jumps. He's up in the
yeah!
air and he's spinning around. He
Go to the
ran over
mall.
cacti.
There's a shopping center.
We're gonna go down to the mall and find the cheapest deals on diamonds, car stereos, and jewelry. Only at the Cow Palace.
Dumpster diving.
I guess you just have to. You got like 5 seconds to make your truck hit as
It's
many
mostly
cactuses
that
as you can.
pole is the #1 enemy of the truck.
All right. Did we do car? We did. Was that supposed to be a car wash? Did we do it with the shark?
Let's do the hill climb.
Wait, let's go back to hill climb.
Can these trucks get up the hill with their big tires? We'll have to find out.
Where should a monster?
Let's go
truck
to the
not
harbor.
be? The harbor is exactly where I was going with
Yeah.
that.
Let's bring a shark to the... Oh, damn it.
You kidding me? What's
All
this
right.
different survival stuff? All right, great.
All right, I guess the forest it is.
Cool. I guess we have to play fine. What
We're
shark?
bringing a shark to the woods. Hell yeah. Just pick a damn
Don't
shark.
bring a knife to a gunfight. Don't bring a grave digger to a national park. But we did anyway because we don't care.
Where's that car go?
Yeah, donuts. Wait, you're gonna spell out a word.
Crap.
I think it's crar.
Car.
Crunch.
Crunch. Crunch bars. Nestle Crunch bars with crispy ricey crispies.
Cruz.
Oh, I didn't spell the word.
We spelled cruise.
Sick.
Hell
That's
yeah.
actually really fun. You see,
Did you unlock anything?
It's basically like trials. You got to make the wheels go right. It's easier though because you're not trying to balance all of them.
Forest 2, the ultimate...
What happened to Lucas? Lucas is very sick. His wheels. He's only got one wheel in the center. What did you do?
Hell yeah.
Hills.
Forest 2, the sequel to Forest.
Lucas, the oily boy, the big crusader of the woods. He likes to climb the hills and get his nose in the dust.
Yeah, we're gonna spill crunch.
This is what it looks like when one of the monster trucks escapes, and they usually have to go after it with big nets. You gotta chase it down.
This
and catch
rules.
That boy. Yeah, I kind of love monster trucks.
Hell yeah. This is so great. They're like
Oh,
regular
they're
cars, but they go in places other cars don't. That's the thing. You
They're
don't
very sick with diseases.
Avenger takes the course with his green stuff arm. Hell yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah. hate the literacy. Flipping it on, fucking your hands off. Yeah,
I'm a truck. I can't spell.
oh yeah. You. Usha!
Trucks.
Yeah, Usha! Hell yeah! Ladies and gentlemen, that's Monster Jam. Crush it. You can crush it too on Nintendo Switch for $39.99. Cheaper than a real truck. I hate the woods.
Yeah.
Ush!
Ush. The only word a truck can spell in the woods.
The game's out now.
I love monster trucks.
Got
They're so funny.
Got trucks in it.
Good trucks.
A lot of big cars.
Good old big boys with wheels.
A grave car.
I want that one at my funeral and my wedding.
A lot of
Both of those.
A couple of popping cars too. You can get your into that.
Dogs and trucks together at last. Only in the Monster Jam.
The jam. That's
Crush
what it
it.
is. You gotta really crush it. Thanks.
I love those trucks. They're heroes. They have huge wheels. It's great.
This year, aside from being the year of the truck, is the 10-year anniversary of BioShock, a franchise that I have loved from the start. Really, really special to me because I think it's like one of the first times I ever played a game that just immediately grabbed me within the first 10 seconds. Like that plane trip into the crash landing outside of Rapture, and then the sort of de-evolution of logic and hope that happens in that game. Really smart. One of the first great, really truly great video game stories of the last few generations. The 10-year anniversary is here, and to celebrate, 2K has sent us a limited edition BioShock 10th anniversary collector's edition here, and the packaging is super cool. So we thought we'd open it up for you guys and show you guys what's in it. Big thing, obviously, it's got the game with BioShock, BioShock 2, and BioShock Infinite, the entire trilogy.
This came out last year, I think, the
Yeah,
remasters.
yeah.
It's
So-
where they did like a 9th anniversary for the game itself, but then they...
So to talk real quick about the game itself, it's got some really cool stuff on it. The original BioShock comes with the museum, which lets you walk through a lot of portions of that game without enemies.
That's awesome.
Which is really cool. BioShock 2 has Minerva's Den and the Protector Trials, which is some of the best DLC ever made. And then BioShock Infinite has Clash in the Clouds, Burial at Sea episodes 1 and 2, and Columbia's Finest Pack.
Yeah, and then of
So-
course this is a GameStop exclusive, I believe.
Yes.
And there's a limited edition of 5,200. We got a certificate of authenticity. We got lucky number 71.
Yeah. So we got the PS4 version. There's also an Xbox One version.
Curious if they did 5,200 of each. I'm not really sure, but anyway. I hate doing that.
It's a little boy.
All right. Now this thing is surprisingly really really cool. Like, I mean, we get collector's edition statues. This one is definitely in like the much cooler side of things. Let's check this
Damn.
out. Okay, so you can see you got the little sister down here. Paint ops are pretty good. It's plastic. It feels like collector's edition stuff. It's not like polystone statue or anything. But yeah, it's still going. You can use that to open wine. It's
Actually,
great.
yeah, you could probably put anything on there.
Pretty tough. You could actually probably cut yourself if you were a very soft person. What is he doing? He's still going.
He's just threatening people, dude. He's just showing off.
So yeah, if you want to have like the sound of a large nautical murderer in your home, just cranking away. There he is. It's still going.
The eyes on the little sister are super.
I don't know if it's like, and you can't really see it because we have blinding studio lights in here, but it does light up pretty well.
Yeah.
Ah, that's creepy. That's
yourself?
weird. No, it's just creepy feeling. Spirals.
Can I see?
Anyway, this is $200. Spooky
look at
time
that.
in Rapture.
That's awesome. Thank you guys.
yeah. So
Oh man, that's so cool.
yeah.
Okay, I was like kind of like, okay, this is cool, and then I saw that and I'm like, yeah, all right.
Sorry, what did you say? I can't hear you over this enormous drill. It's still going. It's still just clanking
You can put
away.
a Q-tip on here and really clean your ears out. Real
If you really want to like just mess stuff up, bring this to a bathroom and put a little bit of toilet paper around it, and he'll just unravel the whole thing, and then he'll look like a weird mummy.
So this is out in a week. It's $200. You get the game with all the DLC and everything, and then it's cool packaging, and then obviously this. So that's great. It's a very strange, weird horrible sounding drill. But
I'm gonna turn it off now.
we got to play something that sounds a little bit better, and it's a game called Super Beat Sports from Harmonix. They made a new sports rhythm game, and it's on Switch, and we got to check it out. Let's take a look.
Oh, hello there, you dancing octopi. It's Brian and Max from Up at Noon, and today we're playing Super Beat Sports, which just launched on Switch. It's from Harmonix, known for rhythm games, and this is sort of music and sports combined. Two classes I did not do well in high school, but we're gonna have fun with that today.
I think this might be a game that combines the game genres I'm worst at.
Really?
Like the only way you'd make this worse for me is if you added maybe an RTS element and a hard simulation.
Any preference on?
I like it's cute though.
I know, it's really
Wacky
cute.
Bat.
You wanna do Wacky Bat?
Wacky Bat. So you just bang the balls to the music, the sound of the drums.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was alright.
Let's try this guy.
Oh, well, hello there.
We get a little Max.
This is a really
drawing.
cute little game.
It really
These
is.
Little funny monsters.
Yeah, I really like that. Harmonix is doing just weird stuff like this now. You know, they've been doing it for a couple of years, but specifically taking a cool idea and just throwing it on Switch like this. They're very Powerpuff Girls. I like them.
All right. Aw, this is like Rock Band Blitz meets backyard baseball, kind of. He's a singing man. Oh. Sports ball. See, I'd be into baseball if it was like this. Instead of just a lot of talking.
Doing good.
Yeah, you're doing all right there. Getting those balls in that guy's mouth. You have your moments.
Oh.
Yeah. It's
Very catchy.
Yeah. So is this a licensed song, or did they make the song for the game?
This is Lady Gaga.
Oh.
That's not true.
Yeah,
I lied.
I didn't think so. I never liked my Gaga.
I think she'd be cool with it though.
Probably. Sounds a little bit like something Bjork would be doing. She was properly medicated. I have decided to stop disguising myself as a swan, and I have made happy music. Alright, so
Here we go.
video games are so weird. I mean, I get why people like them. But if you were dancing with only your fingers,
I feel like I should talk to you more, but I'm very grossed.
yeah, that's kind of what I gathered. Should I leave?
No, it's fine. I need you here.
All right.
Cheer me on. Look at those hedges
Get
back
it,
there.
Brian. Those are some good hedges. This is what? Oh! This is a pretty cute little song. I like it. I think this is
You have a
kinda-
wedding coming up if you're looking for some
Yeah,
music.
I was thinking our first dance, I will come out to this song. We'll do a dance to this song.
Our first dance? I'm not dancing with you at your wedding, you weird dude.
Actually, no, you have to dance with me at my wedding.
Really?
I've decided that I want you to dance with me at my wedding.
Okay. We can play this song there.
But it has to be the slowest dance ever. Like a bullet time.
This is a fast song.
No, I don't want it to be good.
I did awesome. Oh!
Uh-oh. Here's that guy. Derek Jeter, I think.
That's him. Whoa!
Oh, no,
What
he's
the
getting all crazy.
Holy crap.
That's not a good ball.
There we go. That's very fast.
Man, well, you did a good job with the balls. You got them right in those little pink men's mouths. And then the big
When you put
washing
it like-
machine came out with his pictures
Put it like that, it's weird. Oh, I got a golf club.
in the club.
52 locked items remain. I will equip that now.
So now you can play the ball with the golf stick.
All right. So that's a quick look at Super Beat Sports. I put the ball into the alien's mouth a lot.
Yeah,
And
you
then-
sure did.
The large octopus tried to kill me.
Luckily, you unlocked a golf wand for later in the events.
And Max unlocked a new wedding song.
Yeah, which was that one.
We did good today.
Yeah. So anyway, keep it locked for more wedding track list updates right here on the IGN.
What?
Oh, I don't like this song at all. Shut it down. I can't do that.
Thanks for watching.
It's upsetting. It sounds like awful little crickets.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh my God, it's a Super Saiyan. So here's the thing. I like Dragon Ball a whole lot.
Me too. I Goku.
Don't like Dragon Ball that much.
I love being in Dragon Ball.
Shut up,
as
Brian.
the Goku.
Anyway, I got a confession. About a year ago, I think we even talked about these on the show. I found these Dragon Ball Z sneakers on the internet.
They're over 9,000.
They're not. I don't know. They might be. So they come from Mexico. They're from this
Piccolo.
company called. Give me a second.
I don't know
They're
anything
called.
else.
You don't have to do it. Just sit there quietly.
Okay.
They're made by this company called Heredia. They sell them. I think just in Mexico. They've got like the Toei animation stuff. They got all the copyright stuff on them. They're like this, and you know what? I saw them on eBay, and I bought a pair of these Cell ones, which looked awesome.
No, they didn't.
I thought they looked awesome. Anyway, they showed up, and I've had them sitting under my desk because I think either they are bootleg shoes or I got bootleg ones.
Okay.
As you can see here in these photos, they've got these boxes that have like images of stuff printed on them. Mine showed up in what looks like a paper cup box, like a box of sample cups. You can see right there.
It is a paper cup box.
Yeah, they're Sambazon sample cups. They're anyway, and then inside the box there's nothing else. There's a card that says these are the Cell shoes, and they got the guy's the address and stuff. And I'm not trying to like throw these guys under the bus,
address?
but no, it's not Cell's address. But it's this. They just say that this it's got the store. They have like a pop-up shop.
Yeah.
And some guy I think operating out of I don't know, the States was just driving south of the border and like buying these and bringing them back and selling them on eBay. The shoes are awful.
Yeah.
They're like really like it doesn't. Also, this is like birthday wrapping paper they shoved in there. And I'm not trying to like, I don't know, crap all over a shoe company, but there's like, they don't have like insoles really.
So are these are bootleg Dragon Ball shoes?
I think they're bootleg.
Based on shoes that were not good looking to begin with.
I mean, I think there are people who do like custom Jordans and stuff that are Dragon Ball inspired. I love Cell. I love they got the red ribbon thing on there. I think there's a way you could do this. These are not the way to do it. These weigh like a ridiculous. They're very heavy. They're very heavy shoes because they've just got these solid rubber soles, and you can see they're full of like the kind of foam you'd find in like a Ruby's Halloween costume.
Yeah, these laces look like they're from an old boat.
And they smell like gasoline. They really smell horrible.
Check it out.
Hey, I'm Goku now too. Anyway, everything said and done, it came out to like, I think it was like over $100. It was like 110 or something.
Really?
For shoes, if they're cool, if you're buying sneakers, isn't insane in this day and age.
No,
People
not
are
at
buying,
all.
like,
I mean, when you're buying,
but
that's what my
you
shoes
know,
usually cost. These are bad.
They showed up and they're very bad. I think they're just, and it makes me sad. And they've been sitting under my desk. I didn't know what to do with them because I don't want to just like be mean to this like Mexican Dragon Ball Z shoe company.
I think they're fake.
But they also
you can be mean to a fake thing.
they've got all this stuff in here. So that's another weird.
the
sort of giveaway.
stitching on the sides of these are not real. It's just rubber. Like you got this is bootleg shoes, dude. You got
Check this out. They even got they got information in here. They are unisex shoes. They can be worn by anybody with the feet. And I think like they're just slightly too small. They're just like real crappy shoes. So anyway, the moral of the story is don't buy shoes from eBay that are like Dragon Ball Z shoes. Get the ones that have like a photograph of them that maybe aren't just like photoshopped to hell.
Yeah.
So anyway,
and the moron of the story.
I don't know what to do with these. What should I know. I don't know. I bought a thing. It was dumb.
What do you do with these?
What do I do
Bring
with
them to the Salvation Army.
Yeah, somebody will get a kick out of them. A kick?
Okay, we are going to run a video of us playing Farming Simulator. We were just packed with news, so we're actually going to save it for next week, which is fine. And that means we have 6 minutes to do whatever we want.
Oh man, I'm so excited.
Welcome.
No,
to
we
the
don't have the
vacation.
anime food. We're not talking about
We don't
anime
have
food.
prep.
I don't have the images.
Welcome to the vacation zone. So hopefully we can take some questions.
So heavy. They
If
weigh
you're
like
on-
10 pounds.
Yeah, they are very
They weigh like
heavy.
10 pounds. They're very heavy shoes.
If you have questions for us, use the hashtag #UpAtNoon on Twitter, or just tweet at me, Agent Bizzle. That's not a good noise.
No, it's not.
What'd you break down there?
It's just the sound of the other shoe dropping there. I don't break anything.
I wanna get sad real quick. Real quick. I'm very upset about something. Well, when you put the camera on me, like I can't be serious.
Can I be in there too? What's going on?
Here, let's do it.
Hey,
Hey, you gotta move.
Where's the camera?
You gotta move towards
Where's
me.
it?
Bring it.
you're gonna pull me out of my chair.
No, that's fine. It rolls. Here we go. Hey, so this is my good
Why'd
friend.
you jump to that camera? That doesn't
What?
make. We're on this
That's-
one over
no,
here.
it's- no, we
No, we're
just-
doing this.
What? Anyway, yeah, so the problem is
Yeah, what's the problem, Brian?
Max and I are really good friends, and we don't know how to get into a close shot at the same time together. It's just impossible. We've been struggling for years. Our relationship's going really well as friends. It's been awesome, but it's just the two of us can't fit into one shot normally at the same.
What about this? Does that work?
That's okay.
Go back in the corner.
I look like
this?
your driver. Where do you want to go?
I want to go to the grocery store and buy bags of apples, please.
Yeah.
Can you leave the engine running? I have many apples. I'll need several carts to bring them all into my car.
Yeah, whatever you need. Should we stop by Payless Shoes? I'm your driver, Batman. Guess what car this is? Take a freaking guess.
My son is very sick. Can you drive us to the hospital immediately?
Take a guess what car it is. Just take a guess. Hey, watch this. Look at my hand. Oh, put my hand to my mask.
Do you have an
Put
itch?
my hand to my
What's
mask.
wrong? Can I help?
Oh, my eyeball. My freaking eyeball. Anyway, I'm the Batman, and it's terrible being this.
Oh, it's a lawsuit. I'll go back to my own seat. We have fun. It's a fun show to make.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah. Things are going well.
Sometimes
for us.
they're like, you got 6 minutes to kill. We're like, let's ruin it. Let's ruin those 6 minutes with our time.
Let's see. We have no questions from Twitter. All of you followed the instructions very well.
Let's show this off. Have we talked about this?
No.
Good God, you don't
yeah,
have to shout at me. Please whisper.
we have not.
We're talking about an amiibo. It's very small. Look at it. It's tiny.
A friend of mine, Miss Gonda Chris, on Twitter and on Instagram and everything else, makes custom amiibo. And recently, I have been just completely insane about Mario Odyssey. I have every moon. I'm crazy. I have all the costumes. I got a new one yesterday, which is just nuts. I found every purple coin. I tore that game apart. So I really love it. She makes custom amiibo, and she made this one, which is the T-Rex from Mario Odyssey on the Mario amiibo base. So if you scan this, you'll actually get, all the powers of a Mario amiibo, but it's a T-Rex with a Mario hat and a mustache. And he's got cartoon eyes, and she put little grass on the bottom. And
Yeah,
some sand.
this is like railroad modeling grade, like hobby grass down here.
I really, really love it.
This is so cool.
Yeah, so this is awesome. Go check out her stuff. I think she's selling some customs here and there. Ooh, I would play the hell out of this game.
This is the best video game that you
look
could
at
ever
that.
play.
Here, pull it back a little bit so we can get that camera. Can we get both of these two things in one shot? That's basically getting you and me in one shot. There it is. What a beautiful world that is.
That would be the best. The video games would be over if they did that.
This is like if the company that made your shoes made video games.
Pretty much. Not too far off.
Yeah. So this is awesome. How much time do we have left?
8 minutes.
2 minutes left. Minute and a half, 90 seconds. So yeah, use the comments. Tell us if there's anything. It's me, the frogman, and I love to kiss my snake. My little son. Oh, like a man.
Take us out.
Anyway. We had a plan. That's the thing.
We don't that's
We
the
had a
guys
plan.
in the studio. Whenever you see weird stuff floating around, that's just the guys in the
I
studio.
can't do that.
and
I'm
they're
not a wizard. I can't conjure summons across my face.
Let's take a look at what the guys in the studio look like in the
let's
control
see
room
them.
back there.
How do
What are they
look back
doing?
there?
What
Show
do
it.
they have plates
Show-
of food? Are they covered in stains?
I bet you they all snuck out for.
Oh, that's-
Oh, how'd they do that? Yoda's back there. They didn't get a turkey treat. They look like they want some meat though.
You guys look like you're in a really nice car. Like the nicest car that hasn't been invented yet.
Yeah, you guys are in like a Vegas limo that somebody brought a
Where
bunch of
two
music
people can
equipment
drive at
to.
once.
Hell yeah.
Like someone's 16.
So it is a Mario amiibo base, and I believe the T-Rex is not from. Oh man, that's weird. Is not from any amiibo.
No, I think it's just like a dinosaur toy.
Yeah, it's a dinosaur toy
I know
that
this
she
is
painted.
hard to remember in 2017, but there were figurines of stuff before amiibo.
Yeah, and there are also toys that aren't based on licenses, but are instead based on real creatures that once existed on planet Earth, such as the dinosaur.
We don't have any of them because we like it when there's video games and movies about the toys.
You know what's funny? How we're all like, as we get older, we spend most of our time like hunched over like this, and we type, and we're on our phones like this, and we're all like, when we're gonna be like 70, we're all gonna be raptor people, and then you're gonna be tall, so you'll be like a T-Rex man.
Dude, I already have like weird spine stuff in my back just sticking out like a stegosaurus.
Oh, really? Do you have,
Yeah,
do
from
you have a
punching.
tail?
I might.
Really?
I might. Go see the Shape of Water starring my cousin the Fish Man.
Wow, you look great with it.
Weird bone problems. Hey, cool.
Check it out. It's Jordan Vogt.
Come on,
Roberts.
Ellie. Let's go in that old barn and look for nuts and bolts so I can make a knife.
Only if you push me on the thing, because I cannot swim.
Ellie, we are the last of us.
I am also the last of us.
Joel doesn't even sound like that.
I don't sound like this either.
Come on, we gotta drive a truck for one mission.
I certainly love hunting.
All right, that concludes this week's Up at Noon. We'll be back next week. We have one next week, right? Or is it Thanksgiving?
I have no idea anymore.
We have one next week. Next week, we're going to tell you all about Farming Simulator 2017. We had a lot of fun with it, but we don't know how to play it.
And the week after that, we're coming in live from the Turkey Bone Zone. That's Thanksgiving dinner time. Just kidding, we're not doing a show. We're going to get real fat and eat sandwiches.
Yes, sandwiches. Thank you guys for watching. We will see you guys next time.
Hamburger. End the show.